Hey, it's Angela. I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about something I'm so passionate about, extensions. Now, there's so much misinformation out here. I wanted to be one of the people that helps to set the record straight and helps you along your journey either getting weaves or doing them. So the advice I have for you today is not only for hairstylists, but also for clients who are getting weaves for the first time or who are looking for the right hairstylist to achieve the look that they want. So today I'm going to talk about hair, texture, blending, braiding, all kinds of stuff. Just bear with me, it's a lot of information, but I hope that you will walk away learning something new. The first thing I want to talk about today is a consultation. Now, this is kind of like an interview process for the stylist and the client. Because when it comes to me taking new clients, I want to kind of feel you out, see if you're the right person for me, see if I can give you what you want, and to see if we're going to get along, because this is a relationship. Clients, you want to make sure you consult with your stylist before you sit in their chair to get the services, because you don't know what they can offer you. So it's important that this is a two-way conversation for the stylist and the client to both assess if this thing is going to work out. The first thing you need to know about a consultation is to know your options. Know what types of things are out there for you, because there is more than one way to achieve the look that you want. Stylists, you should also offer options. Now, when you know how to do a weave, you can't do the same type of weave on every client. Everyone is different. So it's important for you to understand how to articulate what kind of services you're offering and what would be best for them. The second thing to know is understand your lifestyle, understand your client's lifestyle based on what they do on a day-to-day basis. Because everybody, honestly, can't wear the same type of weave, can't wear the same type of texture, because if they can't maintain it, they're paying for something that's not working for them. So if someone works out every day, then they probably don't need to get silky hair and their hair is natural, because they'll be just straightening and straightening every day. They need a closure, or they need invisible part. They need something else that's going to help them maintain the look. So your client isn't walking around looking crazy saying that you did their hair, because then you're not going to get any new clients. Also, you want to make sure that you understand what they're capable of doing. So certain people don't need complex hairstyles that they have to learn how to maintain. They need something, the texture, everything is going to look the same consistently throughout. So if they do want just to be straight all the time, give them straight hair. But with that comes some other things. The hair is limp, it's not full, they don't have options. So these are things that you want to make sure you explain to your client, and clients, these are things you want to be able to ask, okay? So the next thing I want to talk about is texture. Now, texture is the most important part about wearing a weave that's right for you. Number one, if your hair is naturally curly and it's a 3C or a 4C, you don't want to get bone straight, silky doll hair or wavy hair. That is not for you, sorry. You want to get something that looks like your texture. Now, if you do have naturally wavy hair, for my white girls, for my Hispanic girls, that is what's gonna work. Silky hair. You don't want to get something that's super thick and super coarse if your hair isn't like that. But my black sisters, it's important for us to not get hair that does not look anywhere near our texture. So texture is so important because we want to make sure that it blends with your natural hair. For example, my hair is very natural. It's super natural. If I wet this right now, it will go right up here. But when I straighten it, it still has a tendency to swell up. So I wanted some hair that was going to do almost the same thing. This hair is naturally curly, and the fullness that it has is because it's naturally curly. But I straightened it and gave it a spiral curl with the flat iron. And so what this did is it still gives me that fullness, it gives me that movement and that bounce that I like, but it's not limp and bone straight if I were to get like silky hair. Also, if I'm in a humid environment, all my hair is gonna swell up consistently the same. So I'm not gonna have my natural hair reverting while the other hair is still straight. Cause that just shows you that your hair isn't blending right and everybody else can see it. So you want to make sure that you're advising your clients on that. And then clients, you also want to be aware of that. don't get hair that's bone straight if your hair isn't naturally bone straight. The other thing about getting really silky hair is that it absorbs moisture. So a lot of times when you have a little bit of a leave out, your natural oils are being sucked up by the hair that is super bone straight. And that hair starts to get oily fast and your hair starts to get dry. So that's not something that you really want. It's very problematic because it will make your hair break. Now, many hair companies have really cute names for their hair, but for the most part, most hair is either called straight, wavy, body wave, curly, deep curl, medium curl, relaxed, kinky, etc. And these terms are used to help define the type of wave or curl pattern that the hair has. And so it's important for you to understand what those are. I have some examples of some of the hair, so I want to show you those so you can see what looks like what. This is one of my favorite pieces. This is a fall. It actually has been curled already in like this deep wave a while ago, but it covers basically my full head. And I colored it, I custom colored it with my like sunny auburn, a little bit of blonde hues in there. This hair has actually lasted me about 2 years. So you want to make sure, it looks kind of ratty right now because it's dry, but a little product on here, this texture, it really pops out. It's been layered, it's been custom cut. So I make these pieces for some of my clients, and I make them for myself as well because it's easy to transition in and out of it. So I have clips on here. But sometimes what I do is I'll cut the clips off and I sew the piece onto my head on top of braids. So this is another alternative if you want something that's a little bit faster than getting your hair done row by row. So I wanted to focus more on textured hair because like I said, I don't really like using silky hair unless the client has bone straight silky hair. And most of my clients are African American, or if not, they still have texture. And so, or they're looking for more body than what their straight hair gives. So in all these circumstances, I like to use different textures. So this piece here is just like a medium wave. It's not super curly, it straightens out really easily. And I custom colored this as well. They all start in a natural brown, but I colored my hair, you know, it's like this really warm auburn color right now. So I colored it to match my hair, how I wear it. I want to focus again on texture because silky hair, bone straight hair, it doesn't really give you any life, any movement. And most clients, even if their hair is bone straight, they want more fullness. So it's important to understand how to include texture into the hair and why it looks better than silky bone straight hair. Now this is one of my favorite textures. I love this hair because it has this nice, pretty spiral on the ends of it. And it's really deep wave. This is great for the summertime when you just want a wet and go look that's gonna give you a lot of body and a lot of fullness. Another thing about this hair is it still straightens out. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for a bone straight look, but I would recommend it for someone who likes to wear like full body curls because this is going to give you maximum body, maximum fullness, and the curls last longer with textured hair. So this also is going to blend better with natural girls. When you blow dry this, it'll give that same puffy, full look that our hair looks, that it gives when we blow dry it. Now relaxed texture is basically synonymous with how African American hair looks when it's relaxed. So it's straight, but it still has some puffiness to it. It still has some fullness. This lighter one, I custom colored this. This is also from my personal collection of hair. But it matches my color as well. But I like to put this in when I'm blending with my real hair. And I use this hair because it matches so well. It hasn't been straightened yet, but when you put a flat iron to this, it silks out beautifully. The same way that most of our hair silks out nicely too, but it still has some density, some fullness. It still has a little bit of texture like our hair has. Now this one is the kinky relaxed, and this is a little bit curlier. So this looks more like how natural hair would look with a light drying straightening to it. And so this is great for the girl who already has long hair that wants to just blend it in. It's good for a partial. This texture is also good for the young lady who wants to make her weave look just as natural as her real hair. All of these textures silk out beautifully and they last. They won't revert, they don't swell up that much. You'll be able to get a great wear out of them. They are a little bit drier, but that's kind of consistent with how our natural hair tends to be drier sometimes, so it matches really, really good. These are some of my favorite textures of hair. If you do want straight hair, something that's going to be super low maintenance, relaxed texture is better for people with textured hair. A lot of African American clients, it's better to get this because at least even when it looks bad, it's not silky and like really stringy like doll hair. This is one of my personal favorites. It's a really deep curly texture, and this is great for when you want to just pop the wand in there, put a few curls in it, or even straightening this hair out. It looks so full, it swings beautifully, it holds a curl really tightly. It's kind of right in the middle of one of the other ones I showed you, and Indian wavy. And so this one I colored it as well. It has my same signature hues of gold and auburn in there. And so I love to use this hair when I'm more of a no muss, no fuss type of person. I like to just have hair that I can just wet and go and it still looks great. So this is that, but it also can be styled very easily. Blow it out, straighten it, silk it, and go. Last but not least, this is probably the more straighter of the textures that I love. This is still considered Indian wavy. It's like a medium wave, but the texture of it is a little bit silkier. So I only like to use this hair on clients that are gonna get a closure or the Hollywood part because all of the texture is consistent. I never really recommend this for a person that has natural hair or that has, medium coarse hair. I also like to use this for my mixed girls or for my girls that aren't African American or who have really silky hair. This is a good one because it still has body, it'll hold curl nicely, but for the most part it straightens out super easily and it'll be bone straight. Another very important note is that if you want to invest in great hair, you want to make sure that it's virgin hair and not bust down hair, okay? Virgin hair has never been chemically processed, all right? My definition of bust down hair is hair that has got some questionable things done to it, and that's not the kind of hair you want to keep in your head. Virgin hair also is normally sewn together from one donor. So that's one person who donates their hair and it gets wefted up. So all of the curl pattern is consistent, everything is the same, and that turns into a bundle, okay? Now bust down hair is all blended together, it's mixed together. You don't know what it is, you don't know what's been put on it. And my colleagues have told me about some hair that's circulating, and when you flat iron it, it smells like corn chips, okay? That is not the right hair to be purchasing. All right, you want to make sure it's virgin. You want to make sure it's not chemically processed. Now, really tight curly hair, it is steam pressed, which means that they steam it together basically to make the curl pattern super tight, because you can't go to India or Cambodia or any of these places and find really super tight curly hair. It's just not going to happen. So some of that hair does have a process to it, but you still want to make sure that it doesn't have anything that's coated on the hair. You usually can smell it or you can feel it. If it feels like there's a film, you don't want to buy it, okay? My personal and professional preference on hair is Indian hair. I like to use virgin Indian hair, lots of different textures to go by. You can get it in different lengths, you can get it in everything. And so I like Indian because the cuticle is fine, but it also has a fullness about it. It blends very well with African American hair. It blends very well with everything for the most part. Now, there are other different textures of hair out there. You have Malaysian, Cambodian, Filipino, Brazilian, etc., etc., etc. And all of these are okay too. I don't mind them. The Asian textures, I'm a little bit less excited about using, simply because the cuticle is very thick and usually the hair is very straight, just like an Asian person's head. If you walk past an Asian, their hair is coarse but bone straight. So why exactly would we blend that type of hair into our hair? It doesn't make any sense, right? Okay. A lot of people like to use these terms so they sound exclusive, because everybody knows about Indian hair, but it's like, oh no, I got Malaysian, or no, I have this. It's not about what type of hair, one isn't better than the other. It basically is all about the donor, how virgin it is, how well it was taken care of, and that's what's gonna dictate how nice the hair is. The name, the type of name, the nationality of the hair, it really doesn't matter. So my personal preference, like I said, is Indian, but if you find a texture that matches you or it does what you need it to do, that is Peruvian or Filipino or whatever, be my guest. There's a few ways to test hair before you buy it, and so I wanted to discuss those ways. Number one, you just want to pull at the hair. You don't want to yank it off of the track or out the package, but you want to pull at the hair enough so you can test and see if there are any strands that are coming out right then and there. If the hair is shedding in your hand and you're just tugging at it gently, that means that hair is going to shed like a cat when you have it in your head. Okay? I personally do not like to use hair that sheds, that comes out every time I brush it. It's not A1 hair. Now, there are some companies that I've used that I kind of let it slide with because of the texture or because I can color it easily and things like that. But if the hair is shedding, that's not a good indication that you're going to be happy with it, and if you invest in it, you're going to be able to reuse it multiple times. Another test to do is to just shake that hair up a little bit. Shake it up, try to get it a little tangled, and then see how easy you can brush it out. If the hair starts to clump together and mat together just from a little bit of a tousle, then you know that that hair will probably mat on you when you get it in your head. So those are two good ways to test the hair before you buy it. And you also want to make sure that there is some type of guarantee that the seller has on their hair. If it's not acting in the way that it should act, based on the price and based on the advertisement, you want to make sure that you can either return that hair and get your money back or get an exchange until you're satisfied with the product. A lot of times it's better to discuss this before you make your financial transaction versus after. Especially there are so many internet companies that are emerging that sell hair. You want to make sure you get in writing what's happening. Also, go through PayPal if you're buying hair from a site you're not sure about, because PayPal has financial guarantees that protect the consumers, okay? All right, now let's talk about price. You want to make sure you're not spending an arm and a leg for hair, but if you want to invest, and I use that term specifically because good hair is an investment, you want to make sure it's the right price. So I personally would never buy hair for retail that's under $150 per bundle. You shouldn't be paying more than $275 for a bundle of hair unless it's like down to your ankles. But usually longer hair, like 26, 28 inches is gonna be, $275, maybe even $300, depending on the company and how good the hair is. Those prices are average prices and they're not bad. But with that, you want to make sure, like I said, that you're getting your financial guarantees as far as how the hair will act. The hair should always be able to lift. You should be able to color that hair as light as you want it almost. And it shouldn't act too crazy unless you do a double or a triple process of color on it. You also want to make sure it's not shedding all over the world and you're leaving remnants of yourself everywhere you go. And you want to make sure for sure that it doesn't tangle. If that hair starts creeping up like a cat, it's not worth the money, okay? So these are indications of knowing if you have gotten a good investment, a bad investment, or somewhere in between. But price point between $150 and $275, depending on the length, depending on the texture, is totally average. The last point I want to make is to do your research on hair companies. If somebody just has a fly-by-night hair company that they just created, you shouldn't be paying top dollar for their hair yet. If they want you to try their hair, say, sure, I'll give it a try. But if you're gonna spend a lot of money, read the reviews, read the recommendations that other people have said about the hair, about the company, and make a conscious decision based on the research that you've done. If you're gonna spend your money, just make sure you're not just throwing it away to someone who doesn't even know about the hair that they're selling. So it's important for you to learn more because it's gonna be on you. And hairstylist, it's important for you as a professional to know more than your client. Because if you don't have the answers for them, they're gonna go somewhere else to get them. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm gonna give you my recommendations on hair companies to look out for. Get your pen, get your paper. I'm gonna talk slow so you can write them down, okay?